So we're about 5 minutes after the hour. I'm going to go ahead and get us officially started now that we've taken care of our housekeeping measures. And let me just pull up my agenda here so I have an idea of where we're going. And as we know, the job market right now is certainly very daunting. We've got a lot of looming uncertainty and the rising unemployment rates. It is very easy for professionals to feel just overwhelmed and helpless. I know the latest round of the announcement for the unemployment applications this week came out this morning. Best piece of advice for your mental health, don't look at it. But another thing to keep in mind with that is another metrics that I've seen noticed this week, both for my clients and for the last week too, is we are seeing more jobs being posted. A lot of the things that were put on hold in March are coming back now. So it is definitely a time to start thinking a little bit forward. Where are things going to be in the next few weeks and months? And get ready for everything with your job search right now. So a little bit about us. Let me do some quick introductions around the room. My name is Donna Shannon. I am a professional career coach. I'm also the president of the Personal Touch Career Services here in Denver, Colorado. Hope, do you want to give you a quick introduction of yourself as well?
Absolutely. I am Hope LeNoir. I am also a professional career coach, and I am here in Texas. Some of you may be familiar with DFW or Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas.
Great. And Danielle?
Yes, hi, I'm Danielle Medich-Rosell. I'm here in Bethesda, Maryland. I also have a business in Denver, Colorado. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and a certified career coach.
Excellent. And last but not least is Jennifer Landis Santos.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jennifer Landis Santos. I'm in the Arlington, outside of DC, Virginia area, and specialize in aptitude testing and clarity in your professional direction. And thank you so much for being here today. We hope we answer your questions.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Jennifer. So to kick things off, we're all going to give you our best 5, few tips, tricks, all the rest of that. In my practice, our specialty is I really do a lot with the practical tools for the job search. My own background is I come from human resources and recruiting. Some of the things that a lot of people don't realize is the way HR is screening people is not the way that you would do it intelligently. I know that sounds like real weird. It's like, wait a minute, there's got to be some intelligence in this recruitment process. I keep hearing about all the AI and the computers and all the rest of that. So here's the thing about the computerized screening process. And with the post-COVID world, this is going to come back into play in levels that we saw even before the worst of the recession, meaning you will be screened by a computer before a human being ever sees any of your stuff. And that means we need to have the right kind of keywords going on in your resume. If you're unsure what the keywords are within the actual job description themselves, there are always keywords and phrases that the computer is looking for to say, okay, this person is qualified to do the job. Some obvious ones, or the smart keywords, are the things that relate to your actual job itself. So for example, if you're an executive assistant, that would be all your Microsoft Office tools. Maybe you have a bachelor's degree. It's your work with executives, maintaining professional emails, creating correspondence, advanced calendaring, all the rest of those kind of things, right? Those are smart keywords. The thing that kills most people, though, are actually the stupid keywords. And I know that sounds harsh, but a stupid keyword is anything like excellent communication skills, or team player, or detail-oriented, right? All those things that we know don't actually mean very much, but if they're in the job description and they're not in your resume, the computers will kill you and say that you're not qualified. Totally stupid, right? Yeah, I know it is. And here's it, some of them are exceedingly painful. I do a lot of work with professionals, and sometimes we like to abbreviate our degrees, right? So a Bachelor of Science, it's a BS. Well, if the computer's job description says Bachelor of Science, And nobody ever told the computer that the BS is the same thing as a Bachelor of Science. The computer will kick you out and say you don't have a degree. I know, BS indeed, right? Well, that's why we need to take a look at these stupid keywords as much as the smart ones. And you can read plenty of advice online that says, don't put those stupid keywords in your resume. They don't mean anything. Well, yeah, that's written from the intelligent point of view. And the hiring managers themselves will say, why are you putting things like excellent communication skills in here? This means nothing to me. I don't care. I just want to know if you can do the actual job. But that's where the trap is. Most times job seekers have to get through that computerized screening process to get to a human being who will actually read it for content and context versus just the dumb screening aspects of it. So here's the other thing a lot of people don't realize, how big a deal it is. In most cases, you need to have a 50 to 70% match of those keywords alone within your resume just to get past the computer. So that's huge, but that's not too bad now because you see the trick in how to get past it. And once you recognize it's a trick, it's really easy to tweak your resume to these different job postings. I teach people how to do that in 30, 45 minutes to get the higher percentage of getting through the computers and start to impress real human beings. So that's the first tip that I have for your resume right there, is all of those kind of things. Now, let's talk about LinkedIn profiles for a moment, because LinkedIn is going to work differently. LinkedIn, it's still driven by keywords, but now I no longer care about stupid keywords. Stupid keywords don't matter and will actually hurt you on your LinkedIn profile. So we don't have to worry about that now. Instead, the keywords within LinkedIn work like SEO, meaning the high value keywords need to be repeated in a natural manner along with their variations. So whatever kind of keywords people are going to look for your particular expertise, those are the things you need to pack in there. And it goes into every part of your actual profile. I don't want to see just like a great big huge block of text at the bottom of your summary that just literally has a block of keywords. That's a little bit too much. Everybody knows that as the trick. But that's when we have to have it as the natural manner within the sentences themselves. So keep that in mind. Also, your keywords and your skills, all of those things, everything is going to help drive people to your profile when you have the smart, high-value keywords working for you within your profile. So hopefully that'll be a helpful tip for you today. And now that you got your LinkedIn profile up and banging a little bit, let's go to Hope, who's going to give us some great tips on how to network and what else you can do to make the most of these challenging times.
Yeah, thank you, Donna. So this is great. I hope y'all are taking notes and have your pen and piece of paper or your tablet in front of you. I am a professional coach, and my specialty is helping professionals that are working exceed in their role. And in this case, through this particular pandemic, it's how do I exceed? How can I get that visibility? Or I was hoping for a promotion next month. How do I set myself up for that type of promotion? So I wanted to read this particular page from my book. I have a book called Workday Catalyst that gives a tip before each workday that you can use in your workday. So this particular one says, challenging times are the most opportunistic times. It may not be what you want to hear or read. Yes, I know you've heard it before. Challenging times are opportunistic times. But wait, hear me out. Challenging times are the right times to take advantage of the opportunity the challenge presents to you. Identify the core of the challenge and get with the right people to help you understand what it takes to move forward. Through it all, you'll learn so much about yourself, especially in this case of the pandemic, and ways to close the business gap. So Donna mentioned networking. How in the world do you network during a time like this? So I use networking in a bigger picture, right? So it's not checking off a list that today I've emailed 10 new people. So I've networked and this is going to be great. What you need to do is actually build a relationship with people. So removing yourself from, I'm just going to Google and I'm going to make it, actually get in contact with human beings and write more than one sentence, not a novel, because no one wants to read a long email. It's going to get lost. Just 2 sentences about this is who I am and this is what I'm hoping for. Guess what? Donna said you'd be the right person to help me out. Easy. They know what the ask is. They feel good that someone says they're great enough to give you this information. Know that people want to help. Reach out to them. Make it as easy as possible for them to give you what you need. If you're an introvert like me, that can be scary, but this pandemic is a blessing, right? Because you don't have to be face to face with them. They understand why you're sending an email. Of course, we have Zoom, but if they ask for you to have a Zoom meeting with them, by that time you kind of got yourself together, got your hair. For me, it's easy because I just kind of shake it and people think this is the way it's supposed to be anyway. And nowadays people are understanding too, whatever you look like, whatever the situation, whoever's walking behind you or whatever pet you have that just has to cuddle with you at that moment, everyone understands. It's okay, it's life. We all have a life going on. So I challenge you to be bold and reach out to people that you know in an effort to build a relationship to help take your career to where you want it to be. And what if you don't know where you want it to be? That should be the ask for the person that you're reaching out to. I was wondering if you can help me identify my strengths. Jennifer said that you had some good information about this book. Something to connect. Nothing long, nothing salesy. It's, I like what people have said about you and I'm hoping you can help me. So good luck with that. By the way, Donna mentioned earlier about our contact information. Sounds like, or looks like some of you have already seen it, but we've got our contact information in the chat. So at the bottom of your screen and some people at the top, you'll see the option to chat. So there are some conversations or some tips going on in there. So feel free to reference that. So now I'll turn it over to Danielle and she'll share some information with you as well. Sorry, we're going fast, but we want to make sure we get in as much as possible for you.
So once again, I'm Danielle Mendich-Rosell, and I'm a career coach. I'm also a therapist by training, and I integrate a lot of my therapy background into my career counseling. So one of the things that I keep finding when I'm talking to clients is initially they hire me to help them find their dream job. And right now, there are not a lot of dream jobs out there. And here's what I mean by that. There's been some industries that have been hit. We've seen the entertainment industry, the restaurant industry, hospitality, and more. And so here's what I always share to my clients. Right now, it's okay to take a job that may not be your dream job. It is okay to take a job that meets a lot of your needs and still speaks to your strengths and lets you build upon your talents. So I want to give an example. I've been working with a client and she realized it would be her dream job to work as a wedding planner at a historic property. But right now the wedding industry has been hit and it is disappointing for her. And one of the things that we're doing right now is we're having her connect to wedding venues and going after her goals. But in the meantime, we're looking at positions that are going to be more realistic for her, that still allow her to build upon the skill set that will allow her to step into where she wants to go when the market opens up again. So what, and some examples of that are at her current company, there is an HR position that's opening up, and she's going to be able to build upon some of that skill set of assisting clients or customers and building her interpersonal skills and so forth, community outreach and more, which will be transferable when she wants to make the transition and when the market allows. So I just want you to take away, do not give up hope on your dream job. It can happen. what I'm saying is just know that there are going to be other positions out there that are hiring that can meet your needs and build on your strengths, so that when those positions up and up again, you can jump on them. And I'm going to send this over to Jennifer now, who I know she's going to be talking about highlighting strengths and transferable skills.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. So I have 3 tips that I'd like to share with you. One is this really great crowdsourced website that talks about who's currently hiring, who's laying off, and who's freezing their workforce at the moment. So I just put that in the chat. The second is highlighting and just sort of emphasizing what Donna said, what the other 3 have said so far. One, Donna was talking about the keywords that you're going to use in your application materials and the importance of that. And so, well, I'll talk in a minute about more skills and transferable things that you should use. But also what Hope was saying about getting with the right people, the networking is so important for right now. Think about who you know. Think about, who's your neighbor, who's your hair cutter, who do they know that might be helpful for you? Because about 70 to 80% of people get jobs through someone that they know. So the networking piece, like Danielle was saying too, what can you be doing now so that when things open up again, you have more options? Who can you connect with that knows someone that's in a place where you'd like to be? Good, the meeting's been upgraded. Good. So those are my tips. Just really make sure that you get connected to someone. Think about who you know, and that's important. And then the transferable skills. This is the strengths piece. So in addition to the technical skills that you might have, what are the skills that are useful in any industry? So it could be communication skills, how you speak, present yourself, persuade, provide feedback, how you write or edit. So that's one. Another is, there's 7. One is communication. The second one is research. So what's out there? How do you set goals? How do you find out what the options are? I mean, if you need to procure something or decide which vendor to go with, these are the skills that are transferable from one context to another. The third is your human relationship skills. So how do you develop rapport with other people? How do you listen? Are you patient? How do you communicate your feelings? The fourth is workplace skills. So these are the teamwork things that we see. Do you cooperate? How are you with other people? What are other people going to say about you, about your work style? The fifth is financial management. So your experience developing a budget, maintaining records, those sorts of things are important. Also the sixth one is organizational management, leadership. What are the skills that you have there that you can share with another organization or in your current organization? And the last one is critical thinking and problem solving. We all know that that's important. And companies and coworkers want to be with others who know that you can anticipate a problem and help identify a solution and implement it. So those are the 7 things that you want to focus on, what you enjoy doing and you're good at, and make sure that that shines in your resume, so that in addition to your technical skills and your expertise, you have some of those things that are really important. So I think with this, I'll turn it back to Donna.
All right, thank you very much, Jennifer. That was very helpful indeed. I had to turn the microphone back on real quick. You know how that goes. So we would love to open up things for Q&A at this point. So we haven't gotten very many questions in the chat box yet. So if you want to jump in and unmute your microphone, if you have a burning question, please do. Otherwise, we'll keep an eyeball on the chat feature.
Okay, I'll jump in, if I may.
Sure.
Well, first I'll contribute on like the side hair conversation. So luckily, I've had nothing to worry about since I turned my beard trimmer into my hair cutter. So whew, thankfully, that's a non-issue for me. It's been saving money. But seriously though, on like the kind of job hunt front, so I was in education until very recently. And so I took a risk and went into a software engineering boot camp in January and just graduated this month in this wonderful job market. And so what I'm trying to navigate is, Danielle, you had mentioned how this isn't exactly the time to look for an ideal role. And the reason why I mentioned that is there are many roles like in the tech sector, like for instance, being like a tester, that generally, like if you accept a testing role, you're kind of seen as like the testing person. And it's hard to then like kind of shift over into kind of full stack development and that sort of thing. And so I guess my question is how, like, do you think there should be a certain amount of settling that like wouldn't be appropriate in other contexts, or kind of eat ramen noodles and go move into a friend's basement or something until I find like a role that is kind of a better fit where I feel like I'm able to contribute more? What's your kind of take on that for someone, I guess, breaking into a new industry?
So my biggest question to you are, what are your top needs right now? Because if you have, for example, a question of money and you have some time to wait, then of course wait. But if you need money and income, then that's a deciding factor. Whenever I think about career, it's a lot of it is about what is your immediate needs. And then making a decision from there. So I'm going to put it back on you. What are your immediate needs?
Yeah, that's great. Should I continue the dialogue, or is that rhetorical?
Sure, yes, please. I think that, and Donna and Jennifer and Hope may jump in too, but what are your immediate needs right now?
Yeah, well, I'd say in terms of like, if we're talking about like Maslow's hierarchy, right? Like I'm fine, like I'm not gonna die, and like I have friendships, but like kind of moving up in that hierarchy of needs, like it's more to the point of like, okay, I want to solve interesting problems. And like when I was teaching, for instance, I love that, but there's like a point of diminishing returns where I wanted to tackle greater things. So I guess those are my needs. I want to like be put to work on something I find supremely challenging. And so I guess that is my need. Also, hi Donna, I'm in Denver as well. So, I hope you're enjoying the cloudy day today.
Yeah. So I'll speak very briefly, but what I would say is you can kind of go about this two ways. You talked about a tester. You could look at tester profiles, like you can type in tester on LinkedIn and see, and then type in people, and then look at people who have had those roles before. And you can see what have been their career trajectories. And if you don't like them, then don't take a tester role. However, here's the other thing. You can also look at testers who have moved into positions, and those would maybe be the people that you decide to connect with, send them a message and say, can I have a conversation with you? How did you not get pigeonholed into a tester role? So just some thoughts. But yeah, I'll let Donna speak to you, but I always say if you have time, then go after the positions you want if you have the means.
Yeah, and I also believe too in getting involved in organizations that you've targeted. So maybe this is like your dream company eventually. The old standard, I worked my way up from the mailroom. Having done that myself once before, in a very, very unusual way. I went from the mailroom into the business office at a radio station group here in town. Actually made it onto the air as a morning show producer, and then left that role, decided, okay, did a life evaluation, decided I like being in the business office, joined a TV station in the business office. So it's possible that once you get into a place to start building the relationships to go where you eventually want to be. I was always playing the long game when I took that job at the radio station in the mailroom part-time. It was my goal to be a morning show producer at KBPI specifically. And it took me 3 years to do it. And the time I did it, the general manager's like, well, I've never seen anybody in 15 years pull that off. But I also had some other things to add to my background. I had a degree in music business management and audio engineering. I was doing technical producing on the weekends for a year. I was doing things to add to the skills and build the relationships to make the leap possible. So it's getting in there and I'm working your way up, both is the way I would see it.
So whatever the case, Corey, certainly don't give up and don't say, okay, later, or I'm not going to do it. Always aim for what it is that your purpose to do professionally. And like everyone said, reaching out to the right person, putting yourself in the places that seem like this is something that'll help you grow. So definitely don't stop doing that. Donna, I don't know if we want to take another question or if we want to close. I know we're at half the hour. Sure, Corey, yep.
Anybody with like a burning question, just like a quick little 1 minute thing that we could hit up for you? And then, oh, well, there's a real long statement here. Okay. I do like this statement, you know, that we can center ourselves before we begin to make decisions about long-term careers. That is, there may be people so overwhelmed right now, they find it hard to focus on career moves. And yes, that is very, very true. You know, you don't want to make a big life decision when you're caught in the crisis of a moment. So I think if there's anything that goes back into that, that's the recognition of hope. And you don't want to sit here in like going, I'm terrified of what the future holds. If you're sitting there in a point of terror, you're never going to see the possibilities unfold. And I've worked with a lot of people who say, I took this job because I was desperate. I didn't know what else to do. I had to put food on the table. It felt wrong from the first interview with them. And I knew I was going to regret it, but I took it anyways. And then they end up leaving the job after 2 months and they're even more beat up from the bad culture. And now they have that and plus a short-term job on their position, on their resume. So don't do things out of desperation. You know, it's okay to do a job at Amazon if you have to. That gives you the freedom to look for something that's more in lines of where your long-term goals are. Right, Danielle?
Yes, yes. And you know, I did have one quick thought on that too. You know, it is overwhelming. And one of the things is going back to Maslow's hierarchy, as Corey mentioned, we just have to look at what are our immediate needs in the moment. And sometimes it could just be immense self-empathy and sitting with your feelings and telling yourself like, hey, I'm going to be okay. Those type of things are going to be really important right now, because that type of centering, that type of self-care, self-love can provide the centering so that once you kind of get that self-safety, you can start looking at the job and fitting those other needs. And I know Jennifer ended up writing something about this. So Jennifer, do you have anything you want to add?
I wrote in the chat box, I think it's really important to focus on what's the right next step, because it's really easy to get overwhelmed by all of the things that need to happen. And in addition to Maslow, there's really work from Gallup that talks about well-being, right? So one is your sense of purpose, which is, of course, is important in the big picture, but the other ones, your financial well-being, your physical, emotional, and social well-being. So thinking about that, like Danielle said, if you have to take, or Donna, if you have to take that job, you know, that helps pay the bills so that you don't have the weight of the financial piece, if that clears your mind and can help you work on that emotional well-being as you navigate the next steps. And just be gentle with yourself. Yeah. We're a lot of us in the same boat.
And while others are thinking of if there's another burning question, something to think about too, as you take on a new role, it doesn't mean that you can't live in your professional purpose. So I'll take me, for example, whatever role that I have, I knew my strength, I knew my purpose, and I was able to interject that purpose, that skill, what I wanted to do in that role. And that set me up for the next move that I make. It's also something that I added to my resume to help me for where it was that I wanted to be. So don't lose sight of that either. Yep. It looks like we have an incoming. Do you expect hiring managers or recruiters to ask, what did you spend your quarantine doing? as many of us are laid off, how we answer the question honestly. Do recruiters have expectations for our time off? So I'll answer that as an interviewer. I'm not sure if I would ask that question that particular way, but it would be interesting what people have done during this time. And just when you're laid off, it doesn't mean that you have to stop. Your life has to stop. This is an opportunity to use a skill that you have to continue to build your resume, whether it's volunteering somewhere, whether that volunteering includes calling maybe a nursing home or a healthcare facility, whether it's making masks, whether it's doing communications for an organization, whether it's building some type of robotic system for an organization because they didn't have the money anymore, or all these new ideas that you came up with. Those are things that you can still put on a resume. So don't think because I've been laid off, which I have been there too, my life stops and everybody's going to wonder, what am I doing? Take the opportunity to use your strengths and put them into play, even if it's volunteering, which is also important. I don't know if my peers have additional thoughts on that one.
Just real quick, because I know that we're running out of time. Yeah, I do wholeheartedly agree with the professional development aspects of things. You can take plenty of courses on udemy.com. I have a class out there on LinkedIn, for example, or you can practice your software skills. You can add to your cooking, things like that. And yeah, and that's very similar to Stephen, your question to explaining these job gaps now that everyone has stopped work. I think it's going to be less suspicious just because everybody has stopped working, and emphasizing more that, yes, I've been doing some personal exploration in professional development. And that's what I've been doing with my time, because that question comes up with, oh, I see you haven't worked in 6 months. What were you doing? And those are the same kind of strategies that we've used to answer those questions, even since the Great Recession, 2008 and sooner. So yeah, the strategies still work. So
yeah, I've been working on my technical skills, so
perfect.
getting my PA skills up and such. So.
Perfect. Yep, that's exactly what you want to be doing. So we are at the end of our time. Thank you very much, everyone who came to join us. Just to let you know of a few things that we have going on, I have launched a new resume writing workshop series. So for all of y'all who want to work with us and are a little bit more on the do-it-yourself variety, our first class is launching on Monday, May 4th. May the 4th be with you. I'll put the link for that Eventbrite class here in the chat, and there's some other special offers that go along with it. And Hope, what do you have for people?
Yes, so I will be going through everyone who was invited today, and I'm actually going to give away a copy of my book. I'm also likely to have another session called Decompress to help give tips on how to breathe, self-massage, all those things during this pandemic, and how the career and just the environment can be overwhelming. I'll do that as well. I put my website in the chat, so you're welcome to follow me. Look at my website and follow me on social media, all of my social media platforms. By the way, you will receive an email likely from each one of us that talks about additional offers. So I will put that in the email I sent to you as well.
Danielle?
So I have 2 workshops coming up. I have one on career direction. That's going to be starting in mid-May. I also have a course coming up on radical self-empathy, especially during this time. Self-empathy is going to be really important for self-care centering so that you can work on those higher levels of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So please, if you are interested, schedule a complimentary consultation with me, and know that anybody who has attended this webinar, I'm going to be offering 20% off.
And Jennifer, how about you?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I do aptitude testing, which provides, for those of you who are not sure about which path to take next and considering a potential career change. It helps confirm or discover your natural strengths with some objective data. And I'm going to offer 20% off on that, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have about aptitude testing.
Great. Thank you very much, everybody. And on the very, very weird side, I actually do a little bit of stand-up comedy. I still believe in following your passions. So I have a little bit of a joke. It's a stolen meme, but I just love it so much. So I'm going to steal it again. And this has been like the weirdest leap year ever, right? February had 29 days. March had 300 days. And April lasted for 5 years. So thank God we're finally at the end of April. Well, thank you very much, everybody. And please be sure to follow up with us. Follow us on all of our socials. We're all on social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, all the rest of that. And yeah, watch for our follow-up email. And we will be sending out a survey too, so you can let us know how we did for you. Thank you very much.